Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode. So I'm really happy that you're joining us today. Alright, so I'm just gonna get into it. So, gaining self awareness in relationships, because I feel like some of us, myself included, we don't really have that much self awareness when it comes to relationships, in a sense that we often blame the other person, the other party, on why a relationship did not work out. And while sometimes it may be true, like, for example, if your ex cheated or what, then that's their fault, okay? But sometimes we never see something, or we never really expect that a relationship we're working on will not work out. We're often playing the blame game, okay? Because it's so easy to point fingers and blame other people and even external factors. But until when will we keep blaming others before we also take a look at ourselves? Personally, I don't have the best track record in relationships, okay? I'm really single as I'm very much single. But hey, that's not the point. But I am honest enough to admit that right now. Because if you asked me a few years ago, I would continuously defend myself like, oh, it did not work out because they were this, they were that. I never once said anything about myself that maybe I also had a hand in why a certain relationship did not work out. Admitting is the first step. And also because, as I got older, I just kind of reevaluated what I was looking for, because, what we wanted in our early 20s can be very different from what we are looking for when we reach the late 20s. Hey, welcome to the late 20s club. So as I was reevaluating what I was looking for, there also came a reminder to reevaluate myself. We love to set our standards. As women, we love to set standards. We always say, oh, the next partner I want should be this and that, a certain whatever, a certain stature. Okay, fine. But of course, when we set those standards, we should also be able to meet those standards ourselves. Okay, I'm just gonna share something a bit personal. Oh my gosh. I'll try not to cry about this. So, my last attempt at a relationship was also this year. And I gotta admit, this happened at a time where I was not looking for anything. This was something that kind of just happened, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I'm just gonna roll with it. Hey. And it was great. And we hit it off. We really did hit it off. But it still didn't work out. And of course, there were external factors like distance and, certain life choices and certain choices we have made with our career. But aside from that, the biggest factor or the biggest reason why it didn't work out was because we had huge differences. I know I said we hit it off. We did. But at the same time, there were these aspects where we were not aligned. And at the time, when it ended, I was beating myself up so much on why it didn't work out. It became a recurring question in my head, like, oh, why didn't it work out? Was he so like this and that? And that's what I noticed. All the questions I was asking on why it didn't work out was always about if he had shortcomings or not. And as time went on, I'm now ready to admit that it didn't work out, not because he was lacking, but I was not ready for the person that he was. This person had his whole life in check, fine. And while I did too at some point, but there were some parts that I did not have figured out. I was so quick to clock him if he ticked any of my boxes, to the point where I was forgetting if I was ticking any of his. I never once thought that, am I gonna be good enough for this person? Because I was so busy thinking and evaluating if he's good enough for me. And right now, that's something I have come to admit. And the fact that I'm talking about it in this podcast means that I am openly admitting this. And that's my first step, admitting that I had my shortcomings as well. Because I was so in denial when he pointed those out. And now I have fully accepted that, okay, he was right. I do have some shortcomings. And it's something I need to work on. Also because he was not the first person to say those things to me. So yeah, it really means that I also need to work on it. You took the first step of admitting something. Now what? So now, the second step really is to do something about it. It's one thing to point out something you're lacking, and it's also a huge step to take to do something about it. Because, so right now, I'm taking the time to focus and work on myself, and these things I do admit I am lacking. And don't get me wrong, okay? I'm not doing this for this person to take me back. And that's actually something I don't really expect. So I am doing this and I'm working on myself solely for myself. And I'm also working towards being this better person because, that's how it should be. That's how God wants it to be. Think of it this way, that you are working on yourself right now because you are getting ready to be that best version of yourself that would one day tick all the boxes of whoever is deserving. Alright? Or just, you're just be a better version of yourself for yourself. If you ever end up with, another person or not or whatever, either way, choosing to devote this time towards self-improvement just goes to show that you get to walk with your head high, saying that you are very much sure with yourself and you have all these boxes ticked for yourself. I can't think of a much more beautiful thing than that, because it really is a huge step to, do things for yourself and to choose to improve yourself every day. I mean, I hope we all make that choice, right? And yeah, I hope this was the one piece of message that you needed to hear today. So that is it for this episode. So I hope you enjoyed this one, because I very much enjoyed talking about this, even if I had to break myself open a little bit more to share something a bit personal. And that's also still a bit fresh, but hey, I'm really passionate about this podcast, and I really do believe that being vulnerable is really a sign of strength. I hope to see you guys in the next episode, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify. I hope you give this podcast some love, give your Spotify rating or a like and a comment on YouTube, because I read all the comments. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.